morning, good morning. Welcome to the City of Healing. Hope everyone is doing well. This is Angela. And this morning I just shared a little bit of my morning routine, with basically isolating almost my waist and my buttocks and my hips and my thighs, just a little bit of my routine. And as I mentioned, I dance at least 20 minutes every day. And I don't think I'm the best dancer or the most fit, but I feel that it has attributed to my state of well-being, especially in the morning with exercising. I think it's very important that we move and move and move. And I just wanted to come forth and share that and put that video out there, and maybe it'll help someone, encourage someone to just get up and move. Anyway, I wanted to share one of the videos that I deleted as well by accident, as I shared that story in my one of my videos that I think is my caption video. Why I accidentally deleted my videos. But anyway, one of my favorite stories that I wanted to share is one in my childhood. And this video is, that video was one of my favorite, and it was called the Queendom. And what I shared was that, I noticed a while back that we had these little ant farms in the back of our home. And last year I noticed that it covered the whole entire yard. And I discovered that it wasn't an ant farm, it was actually a bee farm. And probably what we call honeybees. And the backyard was full of them. And of course I didn't call an exterminator to get rid of them. But you didn't want to cut grass back there to disturb them or go back there. It was okay, as I shared, and I actually shared a video in which I went actually out there, and I was amongst the bees. Anyway, I wanted to tell a story from my childhood. I think I was about 9 or 10, and I was with my grandmother that summer, and we spent most of our time outside, and we lived on a farm, and there were a lot of wild berries and plums and all kinds of goodies outside that we couldn't go and get. So I would often run off by myself, and do that. And my cousins and my sisters, they all mostly were together and playing jack rocks and things like that. And this particular time I went down the field just to walk, and I was supposed to be watching my younger sisters and cousins, but I went for a walk instead. But anyway, I came back because I remembered I was supposed to be doing that, and I was looking for them, and I finally found them in what we call a pack house. And if any of y'all know what a pack house is, it's basically where they store tobacco. And they were there, and they were in there, and of course there was tobacco there as well, fresh tobacco that was drying out. And they were in there playing jack rocks, and I said, okay, they fine. So I go in there just to, since I'm in charge, looking around, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do and being careful, etc. And I noticed there was a hornet or a bee's nest up in one of the corners of the pack house, and I was like, oh my goodness, I better get rid of this. And I told the kids, I said, don't y'all move, y'all stay right here, don't move. And they were looking at me like, what are you talking about now? But anyway, they did what I said because I was in charge, So I went to the house, got me a big old pot, and I took it outside. We had a well, so I pumped the pot full of water. And then I carried the pot, conscientious, back to the kitchen, lit a match, and I set the pot on the fire to burn. And meanwhile, I remember that I was supposed to be washing the dishes. So I halfway washed the dishes and water started boiling. So, and my dishes and my water that I had set aside and halfway done. But I take this boiling pot of water off the eye or the stove, and I start to carefully carry it to the pack house. So I get to the pack house, open the door, and my sisters and my cousins see me with boiling water, and they like, basically. And I told them, I got in there, and I told them, I said I had this pot of water because there are some bees over there, and I needed to get rid of them. So I told them not to panic, and I told them they needed to leave, and they obliged. So they saw the bees' nest, whatever, and they said, okay, we're gone. We don't know what you're doing, but okay. So they leave, and to make sure that they left, I locked the pack house door. So I get on one of the piles of tobacco, and I lift the pot of water. I don't know how I did it because it was a big pot of water. It wasn't huge, but it was a big pot of boiling hot water. And I swing back, and I throw that pot of water over that hornet's nest. And for a while, the earth seemed very, very quiet and still. And some of the bees came out, real shaky and disturbed, and some of them fell down to the ground, and parts of the hornet's nest fell down to the ground. And then one of the little hornets came out, and I swear, I remember it to this day. It came out and looked at me straight in the eye and said, not verbally, but I can sense it, it says, "We're gonna kick your tail." I was like, huh? And so at that moment, the first thing I felt was a big old sting on my forehead. And I was like, and then I felt some on my chest, then my arms, and I was like, okay, I think I better run. And so I tried to run to get to the pack house door, but I couldn't remember how to open it because I had locked it. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't get out, but the bees had me. They had me. So I ran to this open door. The pack house is made out of tin, rusted tin. So I run to the window, try to jump out the window, and I see my family there. And I'm trying to get out of the window, and I finally get off, but the tin tears part of my shorts off. It kind of, I get hung on it. But I finally ripped myself away because the bees are still after me. And I get to the ground. I told my family members, run, run, run. Y'all get out. The bees are coming. And my uncle said, I don't think they want us. I think they just want you. And so I'm running, and they didn't touch nobody else there but me. They tore my tail up. I was running, and finally, got exhausted of running. And I guess they finally left me alone. And my uncle found me and took me to my grandmother, and she chewed tobacco at the time, and she slathered me in this tobacco spit all over. I was naked and covered in tobacco spit, and she told me to go sit in the sun. So felt like I was on fire even more. And it's amazing that I'm still alive. I didn't have a tremendous allergic reaction, but oh my God, that was the most painful and awful experience I have ever had, but taught me a great lesson that, if the bees are not bothering you, don't bother them. And as we all know, bees are very, very necessary, for us to fertilize any plant, here in this world, because they carry, pollen from tree to tree, plant to plant, fruit to fruit, etc., so that, we can blossom. So they are very much so needed. And they are, I believe, hiding now because I don't see them as much. But, most of them are in my backyard, I think, because it is a lot of them. And, if I sit down on the ground, sometimes I can feel them humming, or sit outside. But most of the time, I just basically just leave them alone. I learned that big lesson a long time ago. So I just wanted to come forth and document the Queendom, in the back of my yard that I have. And they start to come about this time, late March and April. And they are very busy back there. Bees are very busy and very important for us. So if you see a bee, if it's not bothering you, don't bother it, because they are busy at work keeping our earth full of blossoms and blooms and fruits and vegetables and life. So I just wanted to come forth and share that. And also, bees are also a metaphor, a significant for the presence of your ancestors. So just wanted to come forth and share that. And I hope that you all have enjoyed that little story as much as I do. One of my favorite stories, one of my favorite lessons in life at a very young age. Anyway, thanks for visiting the city. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.